Good morning, Christopher. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent, Daryl. Good morning.
Morning. Finally got this to go, didn't we?
Of course, I was destined.
All right. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to join me really quick and do this. I'm not sure. I know you're a pretty busy person, so I don't want to keep up too much of your time. But basically, what we're just going to go over here is how we got in contact, how we met, and how things were, going for you and your family, and what we did to basically help you out of the situation that you were in. Sound like a deal?
Deal.
All right. So first off, thanks once again, and let's get straight into it. So you don't have to get into too much detail, but can you tell me a little bit about what was going on with your situation and your family and your property?
Um, well, uh, great question. We got behind on our taxes. We were had a tenant in there that I guess it goes as far back as COVID. Um, we had a tenant in there, and we were all going through some difficult times. All of us going through difficult times. And the rents weren't coming in across the board. We have quite a few rentals, and the rentals weren't coming in across the board. Um, and I was rehabbing a property at the time. We were doing some rehabs, and things got a little overwhelming. Got behind on the taxes, and that's pretty much how. Yeah, that was it was rough. It was rough.
Yeah, and man, COVID did it to a number of people, and um, so understandably so, a lot of folks coming out of COVID ran into a lot of property tax issues. Some of those folks are still running into a lot of property tax issues that they can't get ahead of. As you know for a fact, a lot of these ran into not only tax issues, but HOA issues on top of the taxes, and all kinds of stuff started happening to folks. It was a cascade effect. On top
And
of
then
that,
there's, not to cut you off there, but you're exactly right. And then
yeah.
there's that, the HOA factor, and the property that you contacted us about, those HOA fees were astronomical in comparison to some of the other HO fees that are out there. And so there was that snowball, that we had to deal with as well. And those fees aren't forgiven.
No, they're not. And
They accumulate.
they
They accumulate.
astronomically, and when they start adding attorneys, then you have to deal with tax attorneys and you have to deal with HOA attorneys. You have all kinds of stuff that just happens after that. Um, Not only that, I would consider you more of a seasoned person when it comes to real estate investment. So you're more not exactly like the homeowner type because you run multiple properties across multiple states. But if a guy like you and your family could have issues because of COVID, right? Just imagine the people out there that are just mom, dad, grandma. I'm running into people with all kinds of issues. And unlike you, I know when we met, you were like a little stressed on trying to figure out all the pieces and the parts. And I
Sure.
believe I was, myself being an investor and an agent, was able to like kind of put it out on what we call the T graph, the Benjamin Franklin kind of decision making matrix, and get it to area where you were able to make a decision on what to do. So,
Yes. Yes.
um, so I know you were pretty stressed when we first met, but
I was.
because you were juggling multiple properties and multiple tax sales and trying to figure out the process on how to, you know, de-escalate the situation. Plus, you have elderly parents that you're trying to take care of too.
Yes,
So,
sir.
well, you say when we met, I mean, we spent a lot of time, right? You were kind of amazed at how much time we actually spend with people, just trying to talk them through situations, right? I believe we even went to your other property. We weren't scheduled to go to that one. We even took a trip because we wanted to help you. So,
We did. We did.
all right. So,
And
what do you think
yeah,
about
so
that
that
experience? Yeah.
that experience was amazing. Um, I don't keep a lot of mailings, and that's how I was able to meet you initially, was through a postcard that you sent. And I don't know how long I held onto that particular postcard, but I kept it. Just as a get out of jail free card. Just as
Yeah.
a get out of jail free card. If I can't figure it out, because as you say, I'm not seasoned, yes, but if I'm going to be totally honest, I mean, even as a seasoned investor, um, I haven't made the best decisions, you know, and I've had some wins, and I've had some losses, and I kind of got relaxed off the win, from the wins. They were good, and got a little relaxed, and but my point, I had your card and gave you a call. And the first conversation that we had, I was like, okay. It was great. I was stressed, as you mentioned, but
Yeah.
you were like, "Yep." You like, you know what? Let's meet. And which these days, that's important to me. I'm one of those guys. I'm a face-to-face social person, and so I like to meet people in person rather than text or talk over the phone. So when you were willing to come out and meet in person, I thought that was pretty special. And then on top of that, I thought, how about if we meet at one of the properties that is in question at the moment? And that's where we met.
Yeah.
And so we talked about that particular property and everything that was going on at that property. And it wasn't rushed. I didn't feel rushed. I didn't feel as though there was a bait and switch.
Yeah. Well,
um,
not one of those guys that's like,
right.
I'm trying to help you, but I'm trying to buy your house. Come here, give me your house.
Exactly, exactly. You offered me solutions, you know,
Yeah.
and yeah, we did have the T diagram that we put together with all the pros, what available options there were. We went into detail about that,
And
and
just from that diagram, even though as much stress as you were able to find a solution that fixed the problem yourself without me, correct?
correct, correct. And I guess that's where the seasoning, um, yeah, and and I hate to, I'm pride myself as a humble individual. Um, so thank you for the seasoning, um, superlative, adjective, whatever the case may be. But when we went into the meeting, um, and we were discussing all the details and what have you, my brain's going off trying to figure out. I mean, and that's what I love about brainstorming, and that's what we were doing ultimately.
Yeah.
We're sharing ideas, you know. Um, yeah, small minds talk about people, average minds talk about things, but great minds talk about ideas. So once we got into swapping ideas, um, that's how I was able to figure out, you know, well, I had multiple directions and multiple options, which um, is, man, it's great. So yeah, anyone who comes across you, they're gonna have multiple options to
Yeah.
to 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 um to help alleviate their situation.
So Chris, what I've found out mainly was that people in distress, like in yourself in tax sale, they're not really thinking right. Sometimes they just need that extra person to just show up at their door, sit down with them across the table, and maybe sometimes break bread, and then just, if you're honest with me, I will list all your issues out on a piece of paper. I will draw it up, and I'll write out what I think you should do. I mean, one of the first things we do for people is basically hand them some of the information from the counties, right? So we started this basically. One of my hashtags on my business is a veteran-owned business. Fighting to protect your home and your equity. From corporate takeovers, because that's what's happening in America nowadays. Is the corporations are coming in and buying up everybody's house. So we're trying to do a little Robin Hood thing here and prevent that from happening. Um, but back to that piece of paper and just brainstorming to get to a solution helps a lot of people solve the problem on their own. Now, guaranteed, a lot of people can't afford to do something about that. And that's where the county comes in. And worst case, if the county runs out of money, we come in and try and do something to help them out. But most of the time, people could figure this out or get some help from the county. And so that's what we do. Um,
It's amazing that you, with all sincerity, you do it with sincerity, uh, and you brought a colleague with you, so it wasn't just you. Yeah, you share the brainstorming opportunity. And Kevin, hey
yep.
Kevin, shout out to Kevin.
Kevin's my partner.
Shout out to Kevin, the partner. Yeah, if whoever's listening, if you prayerfully you choose to roll with Realty Relations in Daryl, you'll meet Kevin, who's amazing. Um, so it's a team effort, and I'm all about team. That's another one of my philosophies. Is the more minds, because I'm not the smartest guy in the room all the time, or if ever,
Nobody
and
ever is. I mean,
you know, and but when you feel that sincerity coming across, you can kind of let your guards down, you know. Trust. Let's talk about trust really quickly. Um, I was able to trust you guys immediately, Daryl. Honestly,
well, one
to
of
the
my
point.
biggest, yeah,
To the
one
point. I mean, I'm put this out there. I don't know how many people are going to see this. I was able to be a little vulnerable, and I got a little emotional. And you saw me, kind of well up a little bit.
well, that's
And
fine.
because I'm just thinking, I mean, are there people like you guys that still exist out here in this world? Because a lot of folks want to hide behind their computers and their cell phones and artificial intelligence and all of that. Give me some good old school human intelligence,
I
Put
have
that right
dealt,
in front of me. And that's what I miss. And that's what you guys brought to the table. And it
yeah.
felt good.
Well, I'm glad because I've dealt with a lot of people that I've come in like the 26th person to talk to them, or the sometimes the 30 something person that they're trying to do something with their property and nobody's been able to help them. And lo and behold, I show up, or Kevin shows up, and all of a sudden we got the solution. And that's because some of these guys just don't care. I mean, they don't bring it to they don't really care about you. They just want to, you know, take advantage of you. But I had a grandma. My mother-in-law lives with me. I love her to death. She's almost like a second mom. And I'd hate to see somebody walk into a property and just, take advantage of the older folks. The main reason we started this up right after COVID was a lot of elderly people were losing their properties. They're on fixed incomes and they just don't know what's going on there. And then they're getting these thick 54 to 60 page packets stuck
Yep.
on green tape on their door
Yep.
saying, hey, you got a tax bill, you need to pay it. And then they call the county, and some of these people are older. They don't exactly know the process. I'm dealing with a guy who's 86 right now, and he swears
Wow.
he paid his taxes. He swears
Wow.
it.
Wow.
So and I'm working with the county to figure out what went wrong, but
Right.
you know, so somebody who does that, and people always say, "Well, Daryl, how do you make your money?" I'm like, "Well, I am an agent. I am also an investor. Um, and in most honesty, not everybody can afford to hold on to their property.
Correct.
If you get $70,000 behind between HOA and tax bill, I'm just going to look at you and say, okay, I'm going to have to tell you honestly. It's like you're about to lose this thing. It's going the wrong direction.
Yeah.
But what I
Yeah.
can help you do is preserve some of that equity that you saved up over 30 years
Yep.
and take that money and go into seniors. I've helped several people get into senior citizen living, you know, nice senior citizen living with the extra money that they have that they could afford to stay somewhere they can actually afford on a fixed income and
Mm.
get that burden of that sinking, boat anchor from around their neck that was dragging
Sure.
them under the water. So
For sure. For sure.
um, that's happened several times, especially out here in DC where, man, inflation is killing these older folks.
Right.
Price of
Yeah.
eggs. Everybody's, oh, eggs, price of eggs.
Right.
But talking to a lady the other day, she said the price of eggs and ridiculous that all her food bills have gone up and she's on Social Security pension only. So everything's blown past her Social Security and
Right.
is either you eat or you pay taxes. So which one do you think people are going to opt
Right.
for?
Right. Yeah. I'm praying that you can reach all of these because I'm sure that your mailings are going out, but you may have seniors that are unable to interpret the mailing, don't know who the mailing is coming from. Seniors are guarded. Um, they're not, as trusting and just don't have anyone to. Yeah, I can see like mailings just sitting on someone's kitchen table or they're in their foyer, wherever the case may be, and not reaching out, but definitely in a position where they need to reach out or they're exhausted or just
We're
man,
pretty aggressive with the mailing. Once we see that you get a court case,
right,
and we're like, well, we got to reach out, whether they like us or,
right,
we
yeah,
understand that a lot of people probably, are reaching out to folks and a lot of different messaging out there is hitting these older folks and they're
right,
not quite sure who to choose or what to do. That's why I always say just call. Consultations are free. Just call, talk to me,
right.
and I'll walk
And
you through
that's
it.
that's important.
And
Call this guy.
yeah,
Call this guy right here. Call this guy.
yeah.
And
And as I told you, I'm always in a meeting with somebody, but I always return my calls if people leave messages. Even when people don't leave messages, I see a missed call, I call them back. So on top of that, though, was I pretty easy to find when it
well,
comes to like you
easy to
search my
find.
name? Yeah,
Well, I
you search.
mean,
I mean, I sent you out
search it.
all kinds of
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
information when I sent out all kind of information when you first talked to me, right? Sent you an
Yes.
email, sent you a
Yes.
bio, sent you my
Yes.
little website.
Yes. Yes. All the things. All the things. And once again, as a seasoned, I'll put that in air quotes, investor slash real estate guy, um, I knew immediately that you were authentic and professional. And after our first initial phone call, we set up that meeting. Um, and you were open to meeting wherever I wanted to meet,
Yeah. Well,
which
some of
I
the people.
thought was,
Yeah. I don't want
yeah,
to go to grandma's house if grandma feels uncomfortable with letting men in her house, right? I can meet grandma or grandpa, at a McDonald's where they feel safe.
yeah,
I want people to feel safe when I'm
right,
around.
yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah,
want them to feel like they're on guard. You just don't know nowadays. So that's why I say, hey, we can meet at
now
Panera
again,
Bread, McDonald's, wherever you want. Just meet with me so we can talk your
right.
situation.
And
And I,
you were the guy. You put it, yeah, you allowed me as the potential client to select the destination, and that's where we met.
yeah.
And that's where we met. And so yeah, that was comforting as well,
So
as well.
overall, I take it you solved your own issue. I mean, everything is looking, you're heading to a brighter future now. I gave you a plan. You had plenty of ways to run with that once the fog cleared from your
Yes,
head. And
yes.
now you and your family are off to what I would consider a brighter place because the plan we implemented is actually allowing you to get where you need to go and get your family out of all these situations. Matter of fact, I think you actually got one situation totally cleared on one of your properties already, right?
Yeah. Well, the property that we met, where we
Yeah.
met,
So the tax
um,
situation is gone off that one.
tax situation's gone off that one.
Yeah.
Gone off. As a matter of fact,
So no more tax foreclosure. So that's good.
we got a letter because the county hasn't yet. Um, well, I'll just be totally transparent. So I'm holding in my hand here, in my hand.
Well,
You guys can see that.
yeah, not really, but it's okay. We'll
Yeah, yeah.
trust
So
what you.
this is an order to defer contemplated dismissal. Once again, let me repeat that. In order to defer contemplated dismissal. So yeah, so like yourself, there, I'm a former school teacher, former educator. So later on down the road, we can do some stuff. That would be great. So even after paying these taxes, got that in. You paid the taxes. The attorneys, because they haven't received the payment
Mhm.
from the county, they have created an order to defer the tax, the dismissal of the foreclosure, for 120 days until they receive that money, which is fine. But there are procedures and steps
Yeah.
that
There's
need
a.
to take place. I sent an email. I tried to get the attorneys on the phone yesterday because I got this mail. Well, my parents got the mailing, and my dad was like, "Come over, Chris. I can't decide what's going on here." And I got right on the phone, contacted the attorneys, Omaha, Nebraska, and fortunately, there are oh my god, this this could be a 45-minute to an hour call, Daryl.
I
Actually,
know. I
to
know, but
educate, but I'm all about the education. But to make a long story short, got on the phone with the attorneys, and they said, Chris, everything is okay. We're just waiting for the county to submit payment. Then we will request, um, we will submit to the circuit court of Prince George's County a dismissal, and the property will, yeah, you'll be able to do the redemption, and everything will be in order. But yeah, there was
yeah.
still a little nervousness. Um, because
Fortunately for you, I have a little ticker on my calendar. I go back and I check to make sure your taxes are fully paid. And if they're not, I give you a call.
yeah, yeah,
I always follow up. So if if
yeah,
if,
you
if I
do.
if
Yeah,
I
you
see
do,
a
bro.
if I see a blip, I'm calling you. I'm like, okay, you told me you're gonna take care of this. Actually, I have a guy that I'm working with out of New Orleans. He
Yeah,
thought his taxes were being paid.
yeah,
Nope. I called him up the
yeah,
other day. Hey, you're back in tax sale, and he was like, oh, really? I'm like, yep.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
he was working with another company, but I was like, you probably need to work with
It
me,
can
my friend.
happen. It can happen. Yeah, if you fall asleep at the wheel, you can hit the back.
Yeah, and some counties are unforgiving when it comes to people who don't actually live in the property. They
Right.
want their money right now.
Mhm.
But Chris, I know this is taking a little while, but this was a super call. I
No,
appreciate
let's
you.
do it. Let's do it. Daryl, you're a friend for life. Um, because once again, I want to just make this clear that your options, yeah, you offer options for individuals who are um, in tax sale or what have you. But beyond that, um, there's so many other options and opportunities that are you make your clients available to with the experience and it's just, I'm just saying. For example, we had talked about getting my brother um, on board with some opportunities that you guys have available. So here's what I'm trying to get at. You're a guy who is willing to lend all of his resources, whatever resource that you have that you deem beneficial to the person that you're in front of. You're an open book. You'll share those resources with that particular person if if it's beneficial or helpful even. And
Yep.
that's the message that I want to convey. Some of us are, like myself, are open books, sometimes to our own detriment, but I think you've got that all figured out.
Well, we're here
I'm
to
still
help.
I'm still trying to figure that out. You
Uh,
But
Well, Chris,
yeah, you've got a plethora, a multitude of resources. Um, so yeah, give Daryl a call.
well, I couldn't
Oh, I
ask for
shouldn't ask
anything
for
better
anything.
off than that. So
Give
I
Daryl a
appreciate
call.
that. All right, Chris. Well, thank you so much, my friend. Thanks for getting on me with this call.
Sure. I'll
And
be in
I'm
touch.
really happy that
Yeah,
everything's been taken care of with you and your family. And as usual, you know where I'm at. Don't be a stranger.
at all. I'll be in
All
touch.
right, Chris. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Daryl.
All
Thank you
right.
so much.
Okay. Bye.